Wainfleet meeting April 21st, 2020 to order. And of course, please stand for the national anthem. Up to high.
Hey, Jack. Hello.
Okay, we would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes?
No, not at all.
You can't hear me?
No,
We can hear you, but your screen freezes.
you're just constantly breaking up.
Okay, hang on. Is there anything we can? Yeah, my phone's dead. We'll just shut off a few other things here, and we think it's maybe just not enough internet happening. Okay, now I'll just talk for a second here. Can you guys hear me now? Is it loud and clear? Is it better?
Yeah,
Yes, on my end.
Okay, we've just killed everything internet here, device-wise, that we're not using. So if it gets to be a problem, just hold up your hand quick or something, get my attention, and because obviously if you can't hear, it doesn't work. So, are there any disclosures of interest, general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none, we move into the mayor's announcements. Please note, our meeting today is not being broadcast live. However, we are recording and we'll share it to our website afterwards. At our last regular meeting, the Firefighters Association challenged Council to match their donation to Port Cares. Council agreed and decided to make personal donations rather than using taxpayer dollars. This challenge was also opened up to all the staff here at the Township of Wainfleet. I'm pleased to report that we donated $3,351, and that all went to Port Cares. So congratulations to all the staff here. That's a good chunk of money, and I know they were very pleased to receive that much money. So thank you everybody for that donations that you made. Township facilities and open spaces remain closed to the public due to COVID-19, and we continue to take the necessary precautions for everyone's protection. Please check the COVID-19 page on our township website regularly for updates. It is updated virtually every day or every second day, and all the links are there to go to the province and federal and everything you need to know. So it's actually a very good web page. Both the Police Services Board and Regional Council will meet on Thursday, 8:30 for the Police Service Board and 6:30 for the region meeting. and that's carrying on as per normal. Our next regular meeting of council is scheduled for Tuesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. That concludes the mayor's remarks. Can everybody hear okay? We're all good? Okay. Today is the National Day of Mourning Proclamation for April 28th, and I would like to read this. I have a proclamation moved by Councillor Gilmore and seconded by Councillor McClellan. Whereas in 1984, the Canadian Labour Congress established April 28th as National Day of Mourning in Canada to remember and honor those who have died, been injured, or suffered illness in the workplace. And whereas National Day of Mourning, also known as Workers' Memorial Day, is officially recognized in 100 countries worldwide. And whereas the most recent statistics from the Association of Workers' Compensation Boards of Canada tell us that in 2018, 1,027 workplace fatalities were recorded in Canada, an increase of 76 from the previous year. And whereas the Township of Wainfleet is committed to providing and maintaining safe and healthy work environments for all employees by improving health and safety standards in the workplace in order to prevent further deaths, injuries, and diseases from work. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wainfleet hereby proclaims April 28, 2020 as National Day of Mourning in the Township of Wainfleet, and that the Canadian flag at Town Hall be lowered to half-mast from sunrise to sunset in recognition of those who have died, been injured, or suffered illness in the workplace. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll call upon the members for a vote on that, recorded vote. And Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
And Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
And I am in favor. That is carried. I now look to any councillor remarks. Councillor Cridland.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just a report that the NPCA did have a virtual board meeting, and that was on Thursday, April 16th, and very successful. And there is a full report from the CAO, and of course, that's on the NPCA website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cridland. Any other comments from any of the other councillors? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the minutes of the previous two meetings that we had, March 31st and April 2nd. I asked their councillors for comments, corrections of those minutes, if there's any concerns in those minutes. Okay, seeing none. Minutes, I asked for adopted as circulated the minutes of the regular meeting of council held March 31st, 2020, and minutes of the pandemic delegated authority body held April 2nd, 2020. I have a mover and a second for that, those two sets of minutes, please. Councillor McClellan, seconded. Councillor Gilmore. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, vote. Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
And Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Okay, that is carried. Are you still hearing me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Administrative staff reports. And the first report we'll look to is Mr. Colassa has spent quite a bit of time collating a report on Wainfleet's COVID-19. And I asked that he provide an overview of his report, everything that Wainfleet has done here in response to COVID-19. He's moving around, and are you going to be in the picture? Not in the picture, so you'll just hear him.
Hopefully you'll hear me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members of council. Through you, Mr. Mayor, my apologies for the delay in getting this report out to members of council today. There was quite a bit of information that had to be assembled, and there was actually some breaking information that we've tried to incorporate into the report as well, so it is as up to date as possible. The purpose of the report is to provide council with an update regarding the COVID-19 emergency situation that the township is currently in.
Bill's breaking up.
Hopefully this is a little better.
He's standing right by the mic. Can you hear Will now? John, you can hear him?
Hopefully this will be better.
Nope.
No?
Okay,
Now
let's try.
Okay, we'll give it a try slowly. If anyone has any difficulty hearing me, please raise your hand, and I'll try to address it. As indicated, since the last meeting of council on March 31st, we've had some changes with respect to the COVID pandemic situation. On April 3rd, the mayor, along with the other 11 area municipalities in Niagara Region and Niagara Region itself, declared a formal state of emergency. It provides municipalities with all the powers necessary to deal with the emergency situation that we're currently in. Prior to our declaration on April 3rd, the township's Emergency Operations Center was partially activated as early as March 13th. At that time, the township's Emergency Control Group, consisting of the mayor as policy director, myself as EOC director, the fire chief as the EOC manager, the deputy clerk as the liaison officer, and also as the planning chief, the manager of corporate services and treasurer acting as the risk management officer, and the finance and admin chief, the operations manager acting as the operations, the public works branch representative, the manager of human resources acting as the information officer, and the administrative assistant to the mayor and CAO acting as scribe and recorder. The group has been meeting daily originally, and we've now moved to a 48-hour cycle as the emergency has progressed to deal with new and breaking information and to deal with new directives and orders received from the province, and to make decisions in an administrative capacity to deal with the situation that we're facing. As I mentioned earlier, there are a number of orders that have been issued by the province, and we provided a link in the staff report directly to the province's website where all these orders are kept. From an operational perspective, the township, along with the federal and provincial governments, have acknowledged that the pandemic situation is a significant difficulty for the public at large. And each level of government has taken steps to try and make things a little easier for the general public. Most recently, council on March 31st made some directions and provided some direction to staff to waive penalty and interest charges on 2020 current year taxes to the end of June 30th, which is the end of our fiscal quarter. People were still encouraged to pay their tax bills by April 30th, which is the normal due date if they could. And for those that were unable to, they were directed to please contact our finance department for additional information on ways to deal with the situation. The relief measures were, as I say, approved by council on March 31st. And then I should point out that we did have a brief meeting of the delegated authority body that council previously established in order to clarify that original direction in light of some new information that we received from Niagara Region. So in the end, again, council's direction on March 31st is being implemented at this time. In addition to the financial relief that we've provided to the residents of the township, the Emergency Control Group has also implemented a number of administrative decisions and implemented business continuity plans to ensure that the needs of the citizens are still being met in this time of emergency, and at the same time that we are continuing to provide all the essential services with as little disruption as possible to the township. The report goes on to identify some of the steps we've taken. Again, I won't get into those details. They are listed in the report. But to that end, the Emergency Control Group is continuing to forecast closures of township facilities until at least the end of the fiscal quarter, which is June 30th, 2020. In addition, July 1st is the day after our fiscal quarter, and we are anticipating Canada Day celebrations this year to be occurring in a different format. Currently, staff across the region in each area municipality and the regional municipality itself are exploring options jointly to see what can be done to commemorate Canada's birthday. But as it stands now, there will be something, we just don't know what its final shape will be. Another element that the Emergency Control Group has tried to do is try to manage the cash flow situation that the municipality now finds itself in. On March 31st, during consideration of the tax due date situation, some of the cash flow priorities that face the township over the course of the next 60 or so days were laid out. And what we've tried to do is take steps to mitigate the impact on the township so that we can continue operating to the best of our ability to serve the public. In doing so, one of the things we've done is gone through the township's approved capital budget and looked at each of the 28 separate approved line item projects in order to determine the feasibility of them continuing during the course of the pandemic, whether some of those projects should be delayed or deferred until the pandemic ends, and so on and so forth. What we've done is we've identified, and it's attached to the report as schedule, second schedule, Schedule B, Schedule 2, I suppose, all the different capital projects and their planned implementation cycle as a result of the pandemic. In addition to looking at the capital budget and capital program, the township staff and the Emergency Control Group, which includes the mayor, also took a look at the operational side of things in order to attempt to contain some of the costs that we are experiencing as a municipality in order to make our way through the pandemic situation with a positive cash flow. We've implemented a variety of methods to contain costs And some of those methods include the postponement of the hiring of seasonal summer staff, pending a better grasp of the nature and duration of the emergency. In addition, we have actually had to lay off a number of our winter seasonal and part-time staff associated with facilities that are no longer open to the public or not accessible during the pandemic as a result of provincial orders. All in all, in addition to the capital programs, therefore, Schedule B of the report runs through a financial analysis, if you will, of the impacts of the COVID situation. What we have determined is that as a result of facility closures, loss of programming revenue, and the potential costs associated with the waiver of penalties and interest, the township will be seeing potentially a loss in revenues of approximately $56,900 to the end of June, which is the end of this fiscal quarter for the township. Although we are experiencing those operating revenue losses, the cost containment initiatives that we have implemented, including some of the staffing changes I've identified, as well as others, have identified at this time a potential cost containment of $49,500. If you balance these two amounts against each other, the net projected deficit as of the end of June of this year, the end of the current quarter, is a little over $7,300. The newspapers and other media have reported on other municipalities in the region seeing significant operating deficits as a result of the pandemic situation we're in. As a smaller township, Wainfleet has always had a focus on core services that it provides to its residents. We do not have a lot of additional services above and beyond those core services. We do not have we do not have museums. We do not have art galleries. We do not have a variety of other operational things like parking meters or licensing programs for various businesses, all of which are feeding into the effect that the other municipalities in the Niagara are seeing. I'm going to wrap up my presentation at that stage. I am going to comment that at this time, sorry, I'm doing this on paper as opposed to computer, so it's a little more difficult. As of this time, the length of the COVID crisis that we're facing still remains unknown. Our emergency control group continues to meet regularly, currently on a 48-hour cycle, to monitor changes and to adjust our operations to respond to the conditions that we encounter in the most appropriate and in the most cost-effective way. All with the focus of ensuring the health and safety of the residents and the staff in Wainfleet. We anticipate continuing with additional implementation strategies and cost containment strategies in order to minimize the financial impact of COVID on the township's year-end position. All four levels of government have already provided various forms of assistance, but municipalities with their limited revenue generating capacities through property taxes will require financial assistance from senior levels of government moving forward in order to ensure we remain financially stable. That's all I have for my presentation. If any members have any discussion or questions, we will try to respond.
Okay, first, the recommendation from staff is that admin staff report ASR 12/2020 respecting COVID-19 impact be received for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Quidlin and Councillor McClellan. Any discussion? Raise your hand up, Councillor Van Vliet.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Will, you had said that all our facilities will be closed until June 30th. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's what the emergency control group is currently forecasting, based on all the projections and all the information that we are getting from the province. As I say, we are continually monitoring that, and at this stage, that is as far forward as we've been able to crystal ball it, if you will. We are certainly open to any discussion or any direction that might come from council otherwise, but at this stage, we're talking facilities, including community halls, any sort of parks, sports fields, all of our facilities. Presently, our forecast is till at least the end of this quarter.
Okay, because that was going to be my question, because I've already had the adults. Slow Pitch League's already asked me, because the timeline for the province had said May 12th. They understand that things won't be lifted by May 12th, but they were wondering, so should I tell them estimated June 30th, or should I not tell them anything?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, one of the problems that we're facing with this pandemic is that if and when things clear up, it's not going to be as simple as clicking a
Can't
light.
hear you well.
And so, if and when the pandemic situation clears up,
We can't hear you.
Can nobody hear Will? You hear him, John?
No.
No.
Nobody?
No.
That's weird, because he's standing exactly where he was standing before. Did everybody hear
Oh,
his
you-
report?
You've got a bandwidth problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
we do have everything off in the room.
Yeah.
If I may, what I would suggest is anybody who's not presenting, shut off your video feed. So staff, shut off your video feed, and that may free up some bandwidth.
Okay, so just try that. But that would be at their end, would it not? Yeah, that's at their end, not our end.
But it may be their end that they're having bandwidth problems.
Okay, did anybody hear that? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Hey, you.
Will's closer to the mic than I am, so try again, Will.
Through you, members of council, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
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 Okay, very good.
Okay, you gotta talk right at it.
So the point that I was making was that the situation or the problem that we face with this pandemic is that unlike other emergencies, it's when we get information that we can release and begin to open everything back up again, it's not going to be like a switch that turns on and off. It's going to be a gradual movement towards normality, if you will. So if we receive word from the province earlier that facilities that have been ordered closed can be reopened, there is a sort of process that we'll have to do to ensure that, for example, sports fields are at the correct, in the correct condition, that they are appropriately prepared and lined to be able to accept players in a safe manner. And we're going to have to make sure that, as I said earlier, that we have clearance from the province that parks and amenities will be open and free to gather with people in groups of more than 5, for example.
Okay.
So at this stage, we don't have a good answer. We can only say that our projections right now are to the end of this fiscal quarter. which is the end of June. But until we get clearer direction, I'm not sure if we have anything more that we can add.
It's really important to know on this, there are no hard dates, right? We had to pick a date to do some assessment work for. We chose that date, but there are no hard dates here. A second surge could come through, who knows? So nobody is putting out a hard date. Ford isn't putting out a hard date. Nobody is. So if you do speak to people, and Sherry, like people ask you those questions, just, you can tell them the date, but that it's not etched in stone. It could change. It's not a hard date. So, because we don't know. Nobody knows on this. So John, Councillor McClellan, I should say.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Through you, one of the things I'm seeing in construction is we have the washrooms there. Those washrooms have to be cleaned every so many hours. You need outside, like when we have the Marshville Festival, you have the hand wash stations. You're going to need them even for baseball, for little kids baseball, for soccer, for all of this. Somebody's going to have to go in after so many people and wipe and wash down doorknobs, handles, everything. This is going to go on this whole summer and maybe right till next summer, the way it's going. Like we've been explained through construction associations, our whole world has changed. Nothing is the way we used to do it. And Sherry, I would be amazed if this is opened at all this summer.
Okay. I'll just tell them there might not be a loss. Might not be.
Yeah, they're talking very graduated trickle opening of things in a trickle effect. So like nothing just open the door, as Will alluded to. They'll open a little bit and see how that works, and then they'll monitor the numbers. And all of a sudden, if we get another wave, then they'll shut that back down. It's going to take quite a bit of time, and Councillor McClellan is right on. Come fall, we'll still be, opening up things, and figuring it out. So the thing that I have learned through this so far in talking to people is just to be, there's no roadmap for this. We don't know. We've never done this before. So it's really important to have an open mind. And I know sports teams and all that, they want to get started, but it's just too hard to nail any dates down. It's totally impossible. So
Okay, I'll let them know.
thanks. Councillor Cridlin.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you again, just some more general discussion on these events. So I'm really happy, that we've been able to make that decision or announcement now about July 1, that it's going to turn into something else. So for me, maybe we could discuss a little bit about, like, what I'm worried about is people investing volunteer hours. Obviously they've got the same news we have, but if all of that volunteer effort is wasted, I'm looking to kind of if we can make decisions earlier on whether events will proceed. So I think there's at least 3 events that I can think of that are on municipal lands. And then another one actually is the farmers market, which I think would continue because I think there's some protocols already available to us. But for example, like the province of Quebec, they've canceled all festivals. And it's a very difficult thing, obviously, to decide. I'm not suggesting we decide it tonight, but that then redirects that effort, right? So I've heard that people in 1 or 2 of the festivals, they're in planning mode, and I'd really hate for the plans to be wasted if we have to reconfigure something and give them something earlier, maybe. Anybody's got thoughts on.
Yeah, the point is well taken. It's like, when's your drop dead date to try to plan for it, or, and again, there's no roadmap. So it's a very difficult place that everybody's in, for sure. Any other discussion on this? We're meeting every second day going over this. I'm obviously there, and we're dealing with everything we can on this, discussing everything. And, the province is our lead, the region is our lead. And so you know, we're taking a lot of their guidance in that respect. So, okay, so it's on the floor. If there's no further, Councillor Cridlin.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. First of all, I should have said thank you very, very much for the comprehensive report to Will and staff. So I missed that at the beginning. My apologies. I'm just going to touch on a few things. Just from having read the emails that keep coming in from AMO and from the Association of Municipalities provincially and for federally. And again, I think the report here has touched on a lot of it. But one of the things that right at the beginning, we had trouble with our broadband, and on page, I had this a little bit better organized, but in the report, it talks about businesses and people, having to go online. So I'm just, again, whatever we can do now to raise our hand and say, broadband in a pandemic, or not having broadband in a pandemic is even worse. So just thoughts of maybe an advocacy letter. We can see that government working together at all levels is getting tons of stuff done. So I'll just throw that out there. Just a couple other comments. As summer comes, and again, it looks like we've got all this, the enforcement that is available to us at the moment, and I see that that's also changing and being really responsive and flexible. But as the temperatures heat up, I don't know what to anticipate, and of course nobody does maybe, but with the seasonal perhaps moving around, can we have a plan? I know some other towns are doing things like blitzes, just sort of, again, educational, get the message out, things like that. Is that something that we're already doing or we're going to be doing? Maybe that's Will.
I'll ask Will to speak to that, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things that we are doing is working again with some of our neighboring municipalities who share similar, I guess, tourist type attractions to develop messaging and programming information that can go out on a broad scale to inform the public, both locally and the public that might be
Lost you again, Will.
and the public that might be coming in from outside of the current situation. And again, under our current conditions, everyone is promoting stay at home. And that is the messaging that we will continue to promote until such time as the province lifts the emergency orders that are currently in place.
The interesting thing is that like we're not on our own, right? Like the province is a strong guiding light. The region as well. Everything is coming from them. It's really just a matter of us getting that information and applying it to here in Wainfleet. So the amount of information, as you all know, flowing in is enormous, and keeping ahead of it is a bit of a job. But there's not really anything that we need to invent. It's all basically in place. So, and I'll speak to the internet in a second, but go ahead, Will, on the enforcement part.
And just to build on the enforcement, presently, in accordance with the existing provincial orders regarding people assembling, people staying at home, staying out of parks, and stopping the use of public amenities in parks, we are undertaking additional enforcement activities with the staff that we have at all hours, on all days. It's no longer an 8:30 to 4:30 job. We're out on weekends, we're out after hours. In addition, the region of Niagara has established a central call center to which people can file concerns or provide information about people assembling or gathering or being in places they're not supposed to. That call center is manned 24 hours a day. And when a call is received at the call center for Wainfleet, it's immediately put out to us, and we endeavor to respond to that in as quick a manner as we can. So whether it's an afternoon, whether it's an evening, whether it's a Saturday or a Monday, we are attempting to enforce or address the orders that the province of Ontario has issued regarding access to beaches and parks and amenities. So,
And in regards to your internet question, I think you got the same email that I got, Councillor Cridlin, from that one resident who was concerned. We've been working, 6 months now, maybe even a year, to invite and entice internet companies to come to Wainfleet. We have given 3 letters of support where the companies have come in, sat down with myself and Will, and sought that support from us. And we, of course, happily gave that support in the form of a formal letter that was sent to them. Those companies are all vying for infrastructure dollars. And I'm going to guess that as of now, with this pandemic, things will be even pushed harder for areas that are not well served to become better served in internet. So they were doing it before the pandemic. They wanted to serve Wainfleet. And I'm sure now, I suspect within a year to 2 years, we should have high speed almost everywhere in Wainfleet. I'm thinking that's the way it's going. So all those companies are very interested. Councillor McClellan.
So just one thing on this whole state of emergency and pandemic. So my one concern is budgets, and not so much this year's, but next year's. And I think we got to look really hard at what we're doing. I don't see that there'll be any money come through on a gas tax, especially when gas is down to 50 cents a liter. And then what's made up on it is taxes. And the way all governments, all levels, are spending money to prop up small businesses, large businesses, everybody that's around us. There is going to be, the gas tax may be less than half of what we normally get, and there'll be no other money coming at us because it's all spent. And so just, Will, that's my one comment. Look at that, and when we're looking at what we're going to do, we should be really, really conservative right now.
Yeah, we've obviously, we've already sat down here at the office during our meetings and Mallory is better able to speak to that than I, but we have addressed, where we should not spend money, where we should keep on course with the capital expenditures, where we're going to be in a year from now. I have already reached out to our MP and our MPP for conversations on what's happening from their end in regards to kickstart to the economy. They are both working on plans, as I'm sure it's in the news as well, but everybody's working on plans to get this started again. So there may be money coming in other forms. Gas tax would be, you may be right on that, Councillor McClellan, but I'm anticipating that there'll be dollars coming in other forms to get the economy kick-started. So that's what I'm understanding so far in the little bit of discussions that I've had. So, but who knows? There's no roadmap for this. We can't anticipate anything. All we can do is respond day by day and try to look ahead, and nobody has a crystal ball. That's the problem. So any other questions on this report? Okay, seeing none, I'll do a recorded vote to receive the report. And Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
Councillor Cridlin.
In favor?
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
And Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to correspondence. There's a piece of correspondence from Niagara Region respecting Niagara's official plan, consultation details, and revised framework. And I'm going to ask Ms. Ivins to speak to that, please. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to all of council. So Councillor Cridlin.
She is.
Sorry, can you hear me?
A little blippy, but right now we can, yeah.
Sorry, is this better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So Councillor Cridlin requested that this item be pulled for discussion, and largely the goal is to highlight the fact that the region is undertaking an official plan review and update, and also the engagement that has occurred and will occur in the future. So the region's official plan is a number of years old, and so there hasn't been a comprehensive review to the framework for some time. There's been amendments over the years, but like I said, there hasn't been a comprehensive review of the framework. So the region undertook that exercise and started in around 2013, 2014. And that was through Imagine Niagara with some engagement opportunities through online surveys, as well as attendance at different community events to get feedback from residents of Niagara about what Niagara should look like in the next planning horizon. So since 2013, there's been lots of consultations with local planners, so my predecessors as well as myself in terms of Wainfleet specific. And then presentations to local councils. So they've gone around to all of the local councils. Wainfleet had a presentation in November of 2017, again in May of 2018, and then with this council in May of 2019. And those presentations were just to give an update on where they were in their progress and kind of what items they're looking at. So I've also been participating in terms of providing some feedback in working groups around agriculture, a little bit on aggregates as well, and to some extent the natural heritage policies as well, because those are kind of the three areas. Wainfleet, there's a lot of concerns around those. And so some of the other engagement points, they have an official plan website, and kind of going forward, they hope to do some more workshops with mayors, regional councillors, as well as local councils, public information centers. They're going to open up a new survey, additional presentations to councils, and then of course the statutory public meetings and information centers as we move towards 2021, when they're hoping the draft will be complete. So I don't know if Councillor Cridlin has any more remarks, or if any other members of council have some questions.
Okay, Councillor Cridlin first. Is there anything you would like to add before Councillor McLellan?
Just through you, Mayor. Thanks very much, Sarah, Ms. Ivins. And again, just stressing the engagement. And I just want to get the message out there that, you know, these plans will sit with us for quite some time. And so this engagement that's about, you know, that's been happening, and there's still a little bit of a window. Really, it's a call out for anybody in Wainfleet to, if they want to shape a little bit about what's going to be happening. This will, this is before we get into our official plan. So again, I just want the awareness to be out there that more engagement is going to be available. Thank you very much, Ms. Ivins.
Okay, Councillor McLellan.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Sarah. Sarah, over the years, we have little and no commercial land or light industrial land or anything. Now, from my understanding of this, the region has no intention of letting us zone any land. Is that, and you know, as far as development or hamlet areas, they've virtually got us in a no growth situation, which is basically putting the last nails in our coffin, because we can't grow. We're gonna die. So somewhere along the line, we've got to change this. Now, have you brought this up? Are they looking at giving us anything different, or do we need to hire a consultant to go against this so that, you know, we have a chance of staying on our own? Because I don't want to be the council that fails and says, oh, well, we'll have to get amalgamated because we can't get any money.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor McClellan. So when we updated our official plan, which was an exercise started around 2010, the text of our official plan was approved in 2014. Some mapping approved in 2016. So as of 2016, we had a full and complete new official plan. Through that, I mean, some of these issues were looked at that time. I think now that the region has opened up their official plan, is going through that process, it's certainly discussions we can have. One of the challenges we have in Wainfleet is the amount of prime agricultural lands. And so basically from the province down, there's the message of protecting those lands. And so making requests for additional lands for development, whether that be residential or industrial and commercial, it can be very challenging to do. We have our hamlets that were specified in our new official plan, and we've set aside a little bit of commercial, and largely the industrial designations we have are existing uses. But I can certainly look into options and whether or not we need to get any sort of background research or information through a consultant, or whether that be myself, to give a business case to the region for more lands. Once the region adopts their official plan, we do have to do our own official plan review to make sure that we're kind of being consistent with what their new direction is. But as you mentioned, now is kind of the time to do that. So I can look into that further.
Councillor McClellan.
Yes, so I understand they tell us we have prime agricultural land. After they paved over the best farmland in the north of Niagara, which would put ours to shame. So because everybody else got what they want, now they want to stuff it down our throat that we can't do anything. I don't buy that, Sarah. I'm sorry. And I know this is not you I'm going at. I'm talking about the region and the province. And then hamlet areas. There's, in the area I live in, there's been 100 houses built here plus in the last 30 years. No hamlet in our township has that much growth, and yet this is not called a hamlet. I mean, somewhere we got to get our brains together and put this together right. There's no big farms left over here in this end of town. If we need to get some sort of reliable growth that we can say, yes, we're going to get some taxes out of it, we're going to do this. I mean, really, if we can't come up with a good plan, then maybe we do have to hire a consultant to fight this, because we're going to get the short end of the stick.
So if I may on that, the 42 acres at Chambers Corners, that the region is appealing our decision on that we made, a few months back. I've already started working on that. Sarah and I have had a couple of conversations in regards to that, and that appeal will come to the regional council. There's no date set yet because, of course, the pandemic has really messed things up in that sense. But I will be speaking to that, and I will be doing a fair bit of work ahead of time on that with the other councillors to explain our position here, because currently we're being regulated into poverty. And so this is one thing that is on my table to do, and I've started working on it already, and I don't know when that will be, but it's a matter of me speaking with other councillors to see if I can gain some traction with them in regards to that 42 acres of farmland, which is 0.08 something % of all the farmland in Wainfleet. So, it's very little, but will allow us to do so much. Councillor McClellan?
So just for your information, farmland in Port Colborne is around $5.40 an acre in taxes. Industrial land is $70.50 an acre. There's a huge difference in this. We need to get some of this coming into our area. Kevin, I go to meetings with you and Chambers of Commerce. Wainfleet's open for business. The truth of the matter is we have no place to do business. We've got to get, like you say, we're being regulated into poverty, and that's not right.
And that is why again, that 42 acres at Chambers Corner is an absolute primary focus for me right now. Like I said, I'm already working on that. I'm starting to reach out to the other councillors, explain our situation. I've met with some of the staff up at the region about this, so it's a priority for me. And it's unfortunate it's agricultural land, but there's more to it than just that. And when you really sit down and look at it, if we don't get going, like you said, Councilor McClellan, we're being regulated into poverty. All we're asking for is this one little chunk of land so we can actually start to grow some industrial or light industrial or commercial stuff. So, which is already up there at Chambers Corners anyway. So I am on that, but yes, Sarah's points are valid there as well. So any other comments on that?
Nope.
Councillor Gilmore.
Just so to be clear, through your mayor to Sarah, the region appealed the entire bylaw, so that would affect Chambers Corners, Wellandport, and Mr. Climate Higgs land. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So when you discuss the 42 acres, it's actually more than just the parcel at Chambers Corner.
Yeah, I was using that one as a prime example, so, but yes. Okay, any other, Councillor Cridland?
Through you, Mayor, the discussion's been very good, so that's exactly what I was hoping, because this again is reaching into the future, that if we can do some good things, that would be great. But now that you've brought up those appeals, I'm just wanting to make sure we're kind of keeping track of the costs that we're doing this. So, whatever this is going to be at the end of it, I want it to benefit all of Wainfleet if we're spending some of these funds on behalf of some of these residents. So I'd like to maybe have that discussed maybe further at a later time. But it seems it's been brought up, and there's a whole bunch of resources now going to be devoted to that. I'd sort of like to know what that is at the end. Thank you.
Okay, very valid point. I'm sure our treasurer will keep track of that. Any other discussion? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder, please, for that motion to receive it? Councillor McClellan and Councillor Gilmore, and no other discussion. And I'll take the vote. Councillor Van Vliet.
Oh, in favor, sorry. That's me.
Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Okay, that is carried. Are there any other items of correspondence requiring any discussion? Councillor McClellan, did you have anything, or?
No, it was on this that I had brought up.
Okay, if there's no other correspondence, then bylaws, we have no bylaws this evening. Are there any notices of motions from any of the members? Okay, no notices of motion. So we now move into closed, that the council now move into closed session to discuss item A, item under section 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. One item, review of citizen committee application. And item B.
We can't hear you.
I'll read it again.
Kevin, you're breaking up.
Can't hear you, Kevin.
Right. Okay, so the first item in closed is 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual.
Hello, Kevin.
No.
Hello.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
So, two
Okay.
things, Kevin. Kevin, if you can hear us, we can't,
Yeah.
and I was
I'm
told by Amber, we're supposed to close this meeting and open up in another meeting.
turning the fan on, but it's bandwidth. I'm frozen. Can you hear me? I'm
Hello?
frozen in my monitor here. Everybody's frozen.
Kevin,
Can you hear me
We're
here?
not.
Can you hear
we're
me?
not.
Oh, the problems at the township.
The township, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
We're shutting. Can you hear me?
We didn't hear anything you said before.
Okay, can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, we'll try again.
It's not an issue of how loud you're talking. It's the internet in the council chambers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. But I was frozen. Half the screen on my screen was frozen here for a while. So we'll try again. John, you have a point?
So when I spoke to Amber earlier today, we are supposed to shut this meeting down. There was a second invitation for it to close.
Yeah.
So, yep, okay. Good. You may have said that, we just couldn't hear it.
Yeah, no, I got to read the thing first, and then
Okay.
we'll shut down the meeting and come back into close. So, okay, I'll try it again. Item section 239-2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. One item, review of the citizen committee applications. Everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay, second item, under 239-2CF of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. One item, matters pertaining to a potential disposition of land. Can I have a mover and a seconder to move into closed session, please? Councillor Van Vliet and Councillor McClellan. Any discussion? Okay, we'll now move into closed session. We'll shut this Zoom meeting down and we'll come back to the second meeting in, oh, hang on. Oh, right, recorded vote for going into close. Councillor Van Vliet,
In favor.
Councillor McClellan. He's frozen. Councillor Gilmore. Everybody's
In favor.
okay. Councillor Gilmore
Favor.
and Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Okay, we'll now move into, that's carried. We'll now move into closed session.
Councilor McClellan is in favor.
Thank you, Counselor. We have that. So everyone has voted unanimously in favor. To proceed into closed, please exit this meeting and re-enter the next meeting.